The first report came in during the second week of October, filed by a transportation technician doing routine footage checks for Highway 64, a two-lane rural stretch that cuts through farmland and abandoned logging property in northern Kansas. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the traffic camera at mile marker 142 recorded a woman standing in the center of the road. She wasn't moving. The technician assumed it was a drunk pedestrian or someone whose car had broken down, but there were no hazard lights, no nearby vehicles, just a lone figure, illuminated by the infrared glare of the camera. She stood there for 17 seconds, then the feed glitched. When the image stabilized, the road was empty, no footsteps in the gravel shoulder, no figure walking away, just vacant asphalt stretching into darkness. The technician marked it as a system error. But the next night at 2:17 a.m., the woman was there again. Same spot, same posture, facing directly toward the camera. This time she remained for 22 seconds, then vanished. Highway 64 had a history. In the last 15 years, 8 fatal accidents had occurred along that 5-mile stretch. Most involved late-night drivers drifting across the center line. 2 were hit-and-runs where the body was found hours later in the ditch. One case stood out. In 2011, a woman named Elena Morales, age 26, was struck while walking along the shoulder after her car ran out of gas. The driver never stopped. Her body was discovered at 2:41 a.m., roughly a quarter mile from mile marker 142. The technician didn't know that yet. He only knew the camera was recording something it shouldn't. When the third appearance happened, again at 2:17 a.m., the system flagged motion automatically. This time, the woman's head was tilted slightly downward. Her hair hung forward, obscuring most of her face. The shoulders looked wrong. Not slumped, not relaxed, just hanging, like gravity was pulling harder on her than it should. The feed cut out for 2 seconds. When it returned, the road was empty. No cars passed for another 12 minutes. No animals crossed. The night remained unnaturally still. That was when the technician contacted the county sheriff's office. Deputy Aaron Klein was dispatched the following night to sit in a cruiser near the camera. The plan was simple. Wait until 2:17. See if anyone showed up. At 2:10 a.m., the road was empty. No headlights, no movement. The wind was light. The temperature hovered just above freezing. Klein later noted in his report that the area felt muted, like sound wasn't traveling properly. At 2:16 a.m., the radio in his cruiser produced a brief burst of static. Not a transmission, just noise. Then silence. At 2:17 a.m. exactly, the camera feed inside the cruiser activated its motion alert. The woman appeared, standing in the road 30 yards ahead. Klein looked up. The road was empty. No person, no shadow, nothing. But on the monitor, she stood clearly in the center line. Same height, same position, facing forward. Klein exited the vehicle, flashlight raised. The beam cut across asphalt and grass. No one there. But on the screen, the woman's head slowly lifted. Not abruptly, not like someone reacting. Just a gradual upward tilt until her face should have been visible. The camera resolution blurred the details, but Klein described a darker shape where eyes should have been, like deep sockets. The radio crackled again. Static, louder this time. And then the feed froze. When it resumed, the woman was gone. Klein checked the entire area. No footprints, no disturbed gravel, no signs of a person ever standing there. His report ended with a single line. Subject visible on camera only. Over the next 2 weeks, the figure appeared every night without exception. Always at 2:17 a.m., sometimes for 10 seconds, sometimes nearly half a minute. Once she appeared closer to the camera than before. The shoulders sagged lower. The head leaned at an unnatural angle. Another night, she stood with one arm slightly extended as though reaching. Yet no matter how many officers waited nearby, no one ever saw her directly. Only the camera did. But something else began happening. During each appearance, the audio feed picked up faint sounds. At first, it was assumed to be wind distortion, but technicians slowed it down, filtered it, isolated the frequencies. Beneath the static was a soft rhythmic noise, footsteps, slow, uneven, approaching the camera, even when the woman remained perfectly still. And on the night of October 29th, a new sound joined it. Breathing, close to the microphone, not panicked, not fast, just deep, steady inhalations and exhalations, like someone standing inches away, though the camera was mounted 12 feet in the air. Investigators pulled older footage, months of recordings, years. The woman had not appeared before October, but something else had. Every fatal accident along that stretch was followed by a brief camera malfunction at 2:17 a.m. the next morning. Static bursts, frame drops. Once, a faint shadow in the road that disappeared too quickly to identify. The night after Alina Morales died in 2011, the feed cut out for 8 full seconds at 2:17. No explanation was ever logged. The time matched the estimated moment her heart stopped. The department brought in state technicians to inspect the equipment. No tampering, no glitches, no software anomalies. The camera worked perfectly outside of that 1 minute each night. One technician stood beneath it during the appearance, speaking directly to the microphone. His voice recorded clearly, but beneath it the breathing was louder, so close it distorted the sound levels. Yet no one was there. Infrared scanners detected no heat signatures. Motion sensors triggered anyway, always, at 2:17. The final incident occurred on November 3rd. 3 patrol cars were positioned along the highway. 2 officers stood outside watching the road directly. One monitored the live feed. At 2:16 a.m. the night went quiet. No insects, no wind. The distant hum of the highway faded. The radio static returned. Then the alert triggered. The woman appeared on screen, but this time she wasn't in the middle of the road. She was closer, much closer. So close her upper body filled the frame. Her hair hung in clumps darker than before. The head slowly tilted sideways, and though the resolution was poor, the shape of her mouth was visible. Open, too wide. The breathing roared through the speakers. The officers standing outside saw nothing, but one of them felt something brush past his shoulder. Cold, like damp fabric. The camera feed abruptly flipped upside down. For a single frame, a face filled the screen, pale, distorted, eyes like hollow pits. And behind the camera lens, reflected faintly in the glass, a line of figures standing in the road. Dozens, men, women, shapes of different heights, all motionless, all facing the camera. Then the system shut down completely. When power returned, the feed was normal, empty road. No figures, no static, and the appearances never happened again. 2 weeks later, a maintenance crew replacing the camera mount discovered something beneath the pole, buried shallow in the dirt. A cluster of old bones, weathered, fragmented. Forensics eventually identified at least 6 individuals, remains dating back decades, victims of hit and runs, unreported disappearances, people whose deaths had never been connected to Highway 64, and among them, Alina Morales. The medical examiner estimated time of death for each victim, everyone aligned with the camera malfunctions recorded over the years. Always shortly after 2:17 a.m. The highway was rerouted the following spring. The camera was decommissioned, the old footage archived. Officially, the department concluded the appearances were caused by sensor errors interacting with environmental conditions. Unofficially, several officers transferred out of the county. One quit law enforcement entirely. Deputy Klein refused to drive rural roads at night again. But the most disturbing detail came months later, when a technician reviewing archived data noticed something new. On the very first night the woman appeared, October 12th, there had been an accident reported miles away. A drunk driver ran off the road at 2:16 a.m. His vehicle was found empty. No body was ever recovered. But at 2:17 a.m. on the Highway 64 camera, the woman stood in the road. And behind her, faint in the infrared glow, a new shape was visible. A tall figure, just stepping into frame. Since then, every archived clip showed the same thing. Each night the woman appeared, another shape slowly joined the line behind her, silent, still, waiting, as if the road was collecting them. And whatever stood in front was only the first to arrive.